Rome, an era of great change and technological advancement. Beautiful cities, excellent living conditions, and the finest armies the world had ever seen. But Western Europe didn't get the memo. Peasants in these parts were still content with eating dirt, and the leaders hadn't yet invented stone walls. The French thought it was smart to fight with naked fanatics. The Germans used screaming women, and the English just lobbed heads at everybody.
Your warriors are running away! They are not worthy to be called men!
I shall play as them and attempt to defeat the French, long before it was cool. But there's just one problem. Rome only lets you play as the Romans, unlocking other factions after you've beaten them. So although I don't want to, I must start as the Romans and beat the Britons, so that I can then play as them to beat the French. Okay, and there is a second problem as well. How do I get from here to here? I declared war on a country half the world away, and sent a few ships to take over England. This isn't England. That's better. They arrived in England and hastily laid siege to Londinium, wherever that could be. Now, for those of you who don't know, I previously took over France as the British in medieval Total War, which was the game before this one. The armies were 2D, the graphics were blocky and grainy, and the game was released in 2002. Rome came out 2 years later, and boy, did those 2 years make a difference. I pity kids today, where the next generation of consoles means that Lara Croft's beard waves slightly more realistically in the wind or whatever. Back in my day, it meant a jump from 2D blobs to glorious full 3D worlds. Shadows on everything, reflections on helmets, distant scenery. Rome was the largest jump the series ever witnessed, and it still looks good to this day. That's why I'm talking so much. To excuse all of this video footage of the battles to show you how nice it all looks, and how close you can get to the action, how they kindly dress in distinct, vivid colours so you know who is who, how diverse different units are. I still find this among the most visually pleasing of the Total War games. It's so meaty. Anyway, whatever. I defeated the British in their capital city, and it was disappointingly easy. But this was just the beginning. I had to take over the whole of the British Isles. This only took a few more turns, and I just auto-resolved these fights and let the computer win it for me, which it did. But something wasn't right. The Britons hadn't been defeated. I then realised that they had already taken over some of the provinces on the mainland. How about that? Even without my input, England seems hardwired to attack France at every opportunity. I hadn't expected this, and it would certainly extend my playthrough quite a bit, as I first had to stop England from rebelling against me. This is done by having large armies in each city and by spamming the end turn button until the British plebs forget their past and instead accept that they're now Roman. Meanwhile, it also seems natural for France to attack the English, or in this case, me, and they were harassing my provinces in Italy. I'd have given these up, but these fertile lands account for most of my income and directly fund the war effort in England. So all of a sudden I found myself fighting on two fronts, against the British and French at the same time. And then my leader died. Talk about a string of bad luck. Now I know what you're thinking. You're wanting some hot English on French action. I do too. The Romans just don't have the same appeal with their rules and their sophistication and their clothes. But look on the bright side. The Britons are a tough lot to stamp out, even when they're against the whole world at once. But I'll get there, and when I do, you'll get as much manly barbarian action as you can eat. But for now, let's focus on eradicating those pesky Brits. With England firmly under my rule, I set my sights on France. Progress was slow, but I was able to begin nibbling away at the Britons there as well. They did at one point offer me a ceasefire, provided I gave them all my money and the whole of England back. I politely declined. They then slaughtered my armies. At one point, 56 men with sticks ruined an army 25 times larger. Through sheer numbers, I eventually beat them back, taking all of their provinces one by one, until they were holed up in one last place in the middle of France. Kind of felt sorry for them, stuck there in their budget London knockoff, surrounded by French and me. I sent a large army in to finish the job, and I was defeated. Oh, so I sent an even larger army in, just to be sure. Oh, so I sent in 3 ridiculously overpowered armies and defeated them. Oh, auto-resolve had well and truly failed me, so I went to fight it myself and Finally, I got into the battle and did the good old, tried and tested strategy of double-clicking my whole army, and by double-clicking on the enemies. An entire 2 people were guarding the central courtyard. I steamrolled them with my horses. Which is when the Britons' dreaded chariots joined the fray. They even killed my general. I didn't care. I could have done a lot better than I did, but really, they still didn't stand a chance. Victory was mine, and the Britons were defeated. This meant I could now start a new campaign as them, and finally get around to beating the French. Rome Total War. Those were the days. The level of hype before release was unbelievable. It even got its own TV series. It's the game that 1,000 children try to recreate Helm's Deep on. It's the game with this bit in one of the trailers. And for a game about strategy, it was a bit silly to launch the same month as Half-Life 2, and its sales likely suffered as a result. I'm gonna say though, that episode of PC Gamer was fantastic. Yeah, France, you can look all smug, watching as I own England with the most advanced armies to walk the earth. But I'm coming for you next, and it won't be anywhere near as dignified. I'll war cry in your general direction. I'll toss your heads back at you. I'll smother you in sweaty barbarian bodies. You'd better hope for your sake that the next episode is delayed as much as this one was.